This time, it's going to be different. If you want to start a diet, if you want to get back into shape, if you want to get back into the gym, then this video is for you. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to tell you how to navigate, or show you how to navigate the first month back in action. Not necessarily from a sets and reps point of view, but more from a what is going on between the ears point of view. This is something that isn't talked about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know any other videos on YouTube that are going to cover the topic that I'm going to talk about. I'm also going to do it in a slightly different way to any of my other YouTube videos. I'm just pointing and talking. So if I stutter, I'm going to leave it in. I know that if I try to edit all this up, I'm never going to get it uploaded to YouTube. So I thought, right, let's just, got my notes, got the camera, look at the camera, think the best I possibly can. The only downside is that I've got 4 dogs in the room, and at any point, if somebody knocks on the door, all hell will break loose. But let's get cracking, let's get on it. So where are you right now? Right now, on day one, you want to start that diet. So if you're watching this video, then there's a good chance you're interested in some form of fitness, in some form of getting into shape. So your motivation is high. Your motivation is high, and you're going into it with the mindset of, this time will be different. You may have failed in the past because you're here again, but this time it will be different. I'm going to succeed. I'm going to succeed this time. And hopefully you've made a decision that you're going to actually do something. And one of the goals of this video today for me is to empower you with knowledge. So when you do make that decision to start, you know and you expect what is going to happen. There might be some times in this video where it might come across as a bit of negativity. And the reason why I'm saying these things that I will say is, like I said, to empower you with the knowledge so that when things do happen, you can overcome those hurdles. So the goal at the end of this video is for you to be able to take that first step with confidence, and confidence that this will be the last time that you start a diet, last time you start getting back into action. So on day one, motivation's high. And you've got 2 options in week 1. Option 1, option 2. We're going to go into option 1. And this is going to sound familiar. Option 1, right, I'm going hardcore. Whatever diet, insert name of diet, you're going to go for, you're going to go for it. I'm going to cut out all alcohol. I'm going to not eat any carbs. I'm going to have no sweets, no snacks. You know the drill. You've been there before. And it starts off great. In that first week, you don't have anything. Day 1, brilliant. You're feeling good. Oh yeah, feeling empty. You hit the gym. Maybe you've joined the gym. You hit the gym. You do a hard session. You go to a spinning class, whatever it is. Oh, you feel really good at the end of it. Day 1's out the way. Wake up day 2. You're still positive. Motivation's high because you've succeeded on one day. Your legs are aching, but you go to the gym again. You don't eat much food throughout the day, and you get all the way through to the week. And you get on the scales at the weekend, and you're like, brilliant. Friday night, weight has dropped on the scales. You've lost like 3 kilos in a week. And you're like, yes, this is it. I knew all I needed to do was not drink alcohol and eat carbs. And you get to the weekend hits, and you're like, oh yeah, let's just have a little treat, have a little bit of chucky. You know, I've been good all week. I've earned it now. So you have a little bit of chucky, you have a drink, you have some crisps, and when you've had a drink, your guard gets let down. And you have another one, and you have another one, and you're like, oh dear. You wake up Sunday morning, and you're like, oh, bit of a sore head today. You know what? Cool, start Monday. When Monday comes around, and you wake up Monday morning, right, here we go, Monday, let's get cracking, let's get on it. You get on the scales. The bloody weight's gone up, hasn't it? And you're like, oh, fucking hell. So the weight's gone up on the scales, and then you're like, oh, did all that hard work last week, my weight's gone up. No problem. I'm in it. I said, I'm on a diet. I'm going to do it. Try again. But the second week, it's a bit harder than the first week because you haven't got the motivation as high as you had on the previous week, because you've had 1 week of starving yourself and you've ended up being the same weight. The reason why the weight's gone up, by the way, is because if you drink alcohol, your body stores water. If you eat carbs, when you haven't been eating carbs, your body stores water. If you eat salty food, your body stores water. So any fat loss that you may have had in that first week, it's just going to be masked by water weight over the weekend. But your brain is not telling you that. Your brain is saying, I'm just getting fat. But so take heed. It's not fat unless you've had a shitload. So you start week 2. Like I said, it's harder this time because you know that niggling feeling. And that niggling feeling is, I failed last time. When it gets to the weekend, I overdid it and I haven't lost any weight. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I wanted to lose weight, but I haven't lost any. So it gets harder. And then by the time you get to Wednesday, colleague at work's like, going down the pub after work, do you want to come? And you go, no, I'm on a diet. So you last Wednesday, and the next day is someone's birthday, so they bring cakes in, and you're like, do you want some cake? Oh no, I'm on a diet. Oh, just one won't hurt, one won't hurt. You know, you've been good all week, okay, I've been good. Then you sack it off. You sack it off, don't you, basically? So that's option 1. Right, the video's over. See you later. That could leave it there. Or we could have gone option 2. Let's bring it all the way back up here. Option 2. So option 2, this happens to be the way that I would approach it with my training clients. So it's a little time for a little pitch in there. But anyway, yeah, this is the way that I approach it. And this is the way I suggest you to approach it from a strategic level and from a mindset level. Option 2, you start week 1 with high motivation that you did. This time will be different because it will be bloody different. So you track your food. When I say track your food, however you want to track your food, the easiest way to keep track of it. And you chill. Track food and chill. I just made that up today. I'm going to try and coin that. I've never heard anyone say track food and chill. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same ring to it as like Netflix and chill, but track your food and chill. And when I say chill, what I mean is don't worry about making wholesale changes. Just see what you eat. Because I guarantee that if you just start tracking what you eat, you will naturally start reducing the amount of crap that you eat. And that might be enough for you to lose some weight. That might be it. So just start tracking your food, keep an eye on it. Don't stress too much about it, because tracking your food in itself is not an easy task. It's quite a challenging task. Go to the gym, but you don't hit a hard spinning session. You don't go to a CrossFit session on day 1. You just chill out in the gym. You go to the gym, maybe go on the treadmill for half an hour. You get an easy, gentle weight training program that leaves you feeling revitalized but not broken at the end of it. By the time you get to the weekend, you let your hair down just a little bit. The reason why you're probably not going to go overboard is because you haven't deprived yourself that much during the week. I'm not talking now about how much protein you should be eating, how much carb you should be eating. I would be here all day if I did. But just so you know, we're talking a little bit about kind of you should be tracking your food, and that will then reduce the amount that you eat by just default. So at the weekend, you keep you keep tracking, but you're still keeping, you're letting yourself slide just a little bit, but you're not over cooking it. And then when you get to the end of the week as well, your weight on the scales will have dropped a little bit. And I've circled a little bit because that will become relevant in a second. Because we're human after all, and that little bit of weight loss could be your undoing. So then Monday comes back around again, and you get on the scales, and you may have lost, like I said, half a pound because you didn't go too crazy over the weekend. The weight hasn't bounced back up again. The mindset on Monday morning is like, that's not as hard as I thought it would be. I've lost a bit of weight, but the big but is, it's not as much as you would have liked. And there lies a problem, because it's not as much as you would have liked. Before I get into that bit, I just wanted to reiterate, you might not be as much as you liked, but you're going into week 2 with positivity. You know, it's okay, it's all right. It's not as much as I would have liked, but hitting week 2 with positivity because you've done week 1 and you're feeling good about yourself. So then I'll go back to the but. The weight loss isn't as fast as you wanted. It's as fast as it should be, but it's not as fast as you wanted. Let me just rejig this. I've got it in the center of the screen here. So the weight loss is not as fast enough for you. A normal rate of weight loss is like 0.5% to 1% per week, which is percent of your body weight, which is way less than anybody wants, but that's the reality, and that is what is a good target to aim for. So it's not as fast as you wanted, so motivation drops. So you're like, maybe I need to cut carbs. Paul, do I need to cut carbs? I think I do. What do you think about keto? What do you think about intermittent fasting? What do you think about a vegan diet? I watched the Netflix documentary where they said that meat kills you. I'm thinking about only eating tuna. Shall I not eat carbs in the evening? You start questioning what you're doing, even though what you're doing is brilliant and you've hit the gym, you've started training, you're making changes, which are all brilliant, but your motivation drops and you question yourself. And if you've got to this point before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is where I make my money. And that's where a lot of the coaching in comes in, and is making sure that when that does happen, I give people the right guidance. And I'm going to give you the right guidance now. So when that does happen, we need to have a word with yourself, because you need to acknowledge the changes that you've already made. Started tracking food, you started an exercise regime, you are in control of what you're eating. You need to celebrate the actions that you've taken, because by default, you're going to think you can't do it, and you're going to want to go hardcore. So when we get to week 4, week 3, week 4, and you've got past that urge to go back to hardcore, and you've had like 2 weeks under your belt of consistent training and consistent tracking, and your weight on the scales is starting to go down, and you're starting to feel the benefits of training. You're feeling fitter, you're not as achy, you're not as creaky. This is when we need to look at the numbers. You need to be aware of the numbers, but try and not be emotionally attached to the numbers. And that's really easy for me to say. When I say the numbers, I mean the weights that you're lifting in the gym, and I mean the weight that you is looking back at you on the scales. Weights in the gym to start with. If you're a guy in your 40s, which most of the people that I train are, we shouldn't, but we're quite ego driven. And if the weight that you lift isn't heavier each week, you're like, fuck, I should be stronger. Why aren't I stronger? I used to be strong. I used to be able to lift this weight. I can't lift it now. Oh, this is shit. I'm just going to sack it. Oh, it's true. I had that conversation many times with people. You know, the weights that you lift in the gym will not go up every week. There should be an intention for them to go up every week, but they won't. And that's okay, because the most important thing is you keep turning up week after week, and then over time, your weights will increase. So it needs to be said that your weights will not go up every week. This is the bit when at the start, when I was saying, oh, there are certain things where it might come across as being negative, slightly negative. This is slightly negative, me saying to you, your weight that you lift in the gym won't increase every week. But I'm doing this video not to blow smoke up your arse and go, yeah, you can do it, but to give you actual advice so that when these situations arise, that you get in the gym, you know, I can't lift as much as I did last week. You remember this video and go, oh yeah, Paul, he did say that the weight won't increase every week. And there's a multitude of reasons why it might not increase every week. One is because you just can't be asked to train on that particular day. 2, you might have had a bad night's sleep. For example, I'm recording this on a Tuesday, yesterday, Monday, Sunday night. Don't know what it was. Sleep was absolutely diabolical. I woke up Monday morning. I was like, I'm going to train today, but I feel like absolute dog shit. went into the gym, I could barely lift the weights I could do previously. And that's cool because I don't have an emotional attachment to the weights. Then we've also got the weight on the scales, and this is hard to get your head around because I can say it, but you've got to believe it. The weight on the scales is just the weight on the scales. It's not a representation of your personality. It doesn't mean you're a good person, doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just is. And I strongly recommend that you keep track of the weight. But then at the same time, I don't want you to care too much about it. And I realize that that's slightly conflicting because we're human beings, we need to see progress. And if fat loss is your goal, then the weight on the scales kind of gives us an indicator of whether fat loss is happening. Yeah, we can look at body fat measurements and measurements, but in reality, are you going to be tracking those every week? Are you going to get a tape measure out around your waist every week? Are you going to take update photos every week? You know, it's idealistic to say, yeah, don't care about the weight on the scales. Let's just look at how your body feels and looks. Don't know who that was. But in reality, you know, you've got a scales in your bathroom, you're going to use it. So if we use it, we need to keep track of it, but we don't need to get overly emotionally attached to it. Whew. So what do we do with that number? Because we need to do something with that number, which will help your peace of mind. We need to think very logically about it. And this is what I would suggest. If you stay the same weight on the scales for 2 weeks, then you need to reassess. What do I mean reassess? I mean, have you been tracking your food consistently? You notice I haven't given you a calorie number to aim for because I don't know how many calories you need. Obviously, when I'm working with somebody, I do give people calorie target. So you can just look online and Google how many calories, or didn't even Google it, ChatGPT, how many calories do I need? And that will tell you. So if you have been the same weight for 2 weeks on the scales, and then we need to reassess. So we need to look at the number of calories that you consumed over that week, 2 week period. Is it what you've aimed for? If it is what you've aimed for, then we also then need to look at how much activity you have been doing. When I say activity, the easiest way to look at activity is steps. Most people have got one of these. I have done 5,586 steps today, and it's 12:30, so I'm doing good. Like I said, I got 4 dogs, and I did the morning dog walk, so I was a bit of a cheat there. It was not cheat, I just walked the dogs this morning, so I got a few steps in. So looking at the steps, what are your steps looking like? I would say that if your steps are below like 5,000 a day, my next step would be, let's try and increase the number of steps. Not to that arbitrary 10,000, because if you hit in 5,000 every day and then you try and hit 10,000, that's doubling it, it's not realistic. So add a couple of 1,000 to it. So if you're hitting 5, then maybe let's go to 7. Also, we need to look at the calories. Are you been hitting the calories? So we've got calorie target. Let's call it 2,000 calories that you've been hitting, just as an example. And your weight has stayed the same. We're looking at how many steps have you done. So you've done 2,000 calories on average, and you've done 5,000 steps per day on average. You've been hitting the gym 3 times a week, and your weight has remained the same. What this is saying to me, taking any emotions out of the equation, something there is either too much in terms of food consumed or not enough in terms of energy expended. So we need to make a decision. What is going to be the easiest for you to do? Reduce the amount of food or increase the amount of steps, activity? You make the decision. More often than not, at this early stage, because we're talking in like the first month or so, you can do either one. You can reduce the food, drop it off a couple of hundred, or increase the steps and do both. And then you run that for a couple of weeks. And then you reassess again. Has the weight dropped? If the weight has dropped, then brilliant. If the weight hasn't dropped for a week, don't panic. Don't revert back to the type, because what you'll want to do, I'm going to go all the way back up here, weight loss is not fast enough, it will cycle back around, and you're like, it's not fast enough. Then you need to then you'll question everything. Then you'll need to acknowledge the changes that you've been making, and you need to celebrate those actions, because you will want to default to the hardcore. And then we go, track food, chill. Let's aim for this target for the next couple of weeks and then see what happens. If the weight loss starts again, brilliant. We don't need to do anything. All we need to do is repeat what we've just done previously. If the weight loss doesn't keep going, it doesn't happen, and you stay the same for another couple of weeks, then you're going to repeat the same process. And if you notice here, none of this is based on emotion. None of this is based on how you feel emotionally in your head, between your ears. It's all about looking at what is happening in real life, acknowledging that, let's bring it back here, you will always want to default back to your hardcore. Acknowledge that, accept it, then acknowledge the actions that you are taking. Because the actions that you are taking, even though they might feel small on a daily, kind of weekly basis, after 6 months, after a year, after 2 years, after 5 years, after 10 years, you will be in a position so far removed from where you are on day one, and that is you're relying on emotion and excitement, and this time will be different. You will be a person who trains in the gym because you enjoy it. And I didn't discuss about actually enjoying the training and finding things that you'd like. I don't think that's the scope of another video. Enjoying training. You're a person that just, if they want to gain weight, they know how many calories to consume. Because they've spent a period of time tracking it. If they want to lose body fat because they've got a particular event coming up, they know exactly what to do because they've spent the time doing it in a rational, calm, not emotional way. And it just becomes something that is something that you do, and it's not something that you're emotionally attached to. I'm going to leave it there because we've been going 23 minutes. And if you get to the end of this video, then thank you very much for your time. I hope that was a valuable 20 minutes of your time. And you are going away from this now with some confidence that when you start your fitness journey, that you will know there's going to be some hurdles coming. And you know that they're all in your mind. And you know that you can overcome them. And I apologize that I've been waving my hand around a lot. Just trying to sit here and talk to the camera with keeping my arms down is very difficult. So start. Do it.